The first thing I did when I was reborn was smash my husband's legs with a hammer, and then reset his bones for him. I was a top orthopedic surgeon. In my past life, my husband begged me non-stop to perform leg lengthening surgery on him so he could compete in a bodybuilding contest. I refused right away, worried about the permanent side effects. On the day of the competition, my husband was good looking, but he got eliminated purely because of his height. Afterward, he overheard the truth. The contest was actually a husband hunt for a rich socialite. The winner would not only get a 10 million cash prize, but also win the socialite's heart. Holding a grudge because I ruined his chance to marry into wealth, he drove us both off the road on the way home, killing us both. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day he begged me for the surgery. Looking at him threatening to kill himself if I said no, I agreed without hesitation. My husband was overjoyed. He swore right then and there that he'd give me a happy life once he won. But all he really planned was to marry into the rich family and dump me. Little did he know, the one actually looking for a husband wasn't the young socialite, it was her 70-year-old mother. In my past life, I'd found out this secret and refused the surgery using side effects as an excuse. But my kindness was repaid with betrayal. In this life, I was going to watch him walk straight into hell. My husband rushed to tell his parents the news. Seeing how snarky and entitled they were, I knew they'd known about the arrangement all along. So I just went along with it and scheduled his surgery that same day. To get my revenge early on, I told him anesthesia would slow his recovery and insisted we do the surgery without it. Desperate to heal fast, he gritted his teeth and agreed. I grabbed the biggest hammer in the hospital and slammed it down on his legs. He screamed and passed out from the pain. When he woke up in the hospital room, he cried happy tears when he saw how much longer his legs were. He measured in at 6 feet 1 inch, growing 4 inches in just half a day. He raved about how skilled I was. But his joy didn't last. A sharp, unbearable pain shot through his legs. I told him the surgery was extremely damaging to the body and he'd need at least a month to recover. My husband flew into a rage, accusing me of doing it on purpose. The contest was days away and he couldn't wait. I acted helpless and suggested he wear a special medical brace, but I didn't tell him it had brutal side effects. Every step would feel like stabbing pain. He was still hesitating when the competition committee called, rushing him to show up. Chasing his dream of being a rich family's toy husband, he ignored my warnings and got the brace put on right away. Meanwhile, the bodybuilding contest had already started. Just as the host was about to mark him as absent, he sprinted into the venue like nothing was wrong. His good looks caught on camera and instantly won over the socialite's mother. The host tried to disqualify him for being late, but the rich socialite stood up and declared him the winner. After the show, she brought him backstage. Before she could say a word, my husband begged to marry into her family. She thought she'd have to convince him, but seeing how eager he was, she set the wedding for 3 days later. 3 days later, my husband and his family showed up to the wedding dressed to impress, but every guest stared at him with pity. No one could understand why he'd marry an old crone. While my husband lived his rich fantasy, I showed up at the wedding. I wasn't there to ruin anything, I just wanted to watch his nightmare unfold. With a little nudge from me, the guests all cheered for him to go get his bride. He couldn't back down, so he led everyone to the dressing room. Inside, the wealthy old lady was already waiting. When she heard he was coming to get her personally, she praised her daughter for making such a great choice. My husband reached the door and was about to push it open. I stepped in front of him and said, "Think really hard. Once you open this door, there's no going back." But he thought I was just jealous of his luck. Without another word, he threw the door open.